Wall Street Memes Casino,
I'm fine.
and Sportsbook.
But I'll start with the Bakole and Jared Anderson fight, and we'll work our way up there. Yeah, everyone knows my relationship with Martin. I'm lucky enough he lives about 20 minutes away from me. See him all the time. Happy guy, good religious man. He's got a heart of gold. And I think he deserves it. I think with the critics that him and Billy Nelson were getting on Twitter with the sparring stories and whatnot, which they're backed up by me because I've seen Martin Bakole spar, and not against Joyce and all that, but I've seen him spar in the gym, and the guy's an animal. Peter Fury said it as well. Tyson Fury said it. So, and now Billy Nelson, he said headline by Billy Nelson, he said it as well. But sparring. You can only go over the stories because it's a closed environment sparring. So you can only go over the stories and it's hearsay and whatnot. But I do feel like, and I said this is Martin Bakole's coming out party, fighting an American heavyweight in America. And just dispatching Jared Anderson the way he did, it looked effortless. Do you know what I mean? It just looked like he wasn't even out of third gear, really. And I think the 285 pounds, 6'6", he carries the weight well. He can do 12 rounds at that weight, 280, 290, whatever it is. You might think that 285 pounds take him into the deeper rounds, the later rounds, and you might gas him out. But I've seen Martin, man, he goes. I've seen him do 12-round spars, and then he'll hit the bag for another 4 or 5 rounds, and then he'll do the 300, 400 sit-ups. Believe it or not, he does do 300, 400 sit-ups after the session because he might not have the six-pack, but you look at Jared Anderson, he was ripping that body to shreds, and it never made Martin Bakole wince once. So, yeah, fantastic fight. Happy for the big man. And you said yourself you were surprised that maybe not the victory for Martin, but the way it went about.
Yeah, I thought it was a 50-50 fight going into it. Hands up, and we've spoke on this podcast before about how highly we rate Jared Anderson, and Bakole beasted him. Bakole really did beast him, and now it's not just the talk of the sparring stories. It's not just the most avoided heavyweight label. He is a heavyweight contender, and he has to be fighting in the biggest heavyweight fights. So that leads us to the next question of who do you want to see him fight next?
You said the biggest heavyweight fights. You're not talking about money or stage. You're talking about biggest. How about Zhang versus Bakole? How about 2 6'6", 280, 290, 300-pound monsters? Is that
You read my mind. You read my mind.
Is that big enough for you?
You read my mind. I thought when you talk about styles making fights, I think that could be the ultimate slugfest of all slugfests. It would be absolutely brilliant. 2 guys with really fast hands, and 2 guys really whose tanks have had question marks over them. Can they still cut it late? So I think that makes a really interesting fight. Very, very, very interesting fight. I'd love to see that fight, and I think that one is the number 1 on the wish list now.
I think if you look at the heavyweight division, like Usyk Fury, I know Billy Nelson and Martin said that they want Usyk and Fury, but they're tied up. They're going to have a fight in December, obviously. Joseph Parker, does that fight excite me for Martin? It does, because Joseph is on a good run of form. He's already beat Zhang. But when you talk about excitement, when you talk about hand speed and just staying in the pocket, both of them come forward. So it's just going to be like a train smashing into each other from the get-go. One's southpaw, one's orthodox, so the backhand from both men is going to work perfectly. It slips in there nicely. Boom. Yeah, that fight, 6'6". They better reinforce that ring. They better have extra, whatever it is, scaffolding underneath that ring to make sure it's reinforced. Because you ever seen wrestling when they do the suplex off the top rope and the ring? I can see that happening when you've got 2 men close to 600 pound each, and then you chuck in a little 150 pound referee. That's a lot of weight in there. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, that fight excites me. That's probably the most exciting fight in the heavyweight division, to be honest. If I'm going to be honest with you, that fight is probably the most exciting fight in the heavyweight division right now.
Wall Street Memes Casino,
I'm fine.
and Sportsbook.